Uh, just me again. Maybe Ryan can join at some point today. We're having more technical difficulties. Today it's technical difficulties. Yesterday wasn't technical difficulties, but today are technical for sure. Hopefully we can get him on at some point. I will gladly add him, but I don't know. On his end it says he's joining the room. On my end it says there's nobody here. So this is what you get. You get 2 days in a row of me. I will try to make it as painless as possible, I guess we could say. Painless. On the show today, we're going to talk about RFK Jr. because he was grilled today by all of the great, good, fine people of Congress. And the thing with RFK Jr. And comment below, put yourself in the live chat, do whatever you want to do here, but in the Trump administration right now, who's your brightest spot? Because I'm looking at what we got here, and RFK Jr.'s got to be right up there at the top for me personally. I don't know if you all feel that way. I'm sure some other people have their favorites, but if you're going through the list, I don't think I can name a lot of great ones. RFK Jr. is definitely at the top. Tulsi Gabbard, I think Tulsi Gabbard has done an okay job too. I'll give her credit where credit's due, but certainly there have been some tremendous disappointments. Pam Bondi is just horrifying. Dan Bongino is an ultra disappointment. Kash Patel is a huge disappointment. Although I didn't have super high hopes for Kash Patel, to be fair. Dan Bongino is probably the most disappointing. RFK Jr. is the most pleasing. If I'm going through my list, that's the list. But today on the show, we do have some clips from the RFK hearing, and like I said, I think he's done a great job. He's really able to hold his own against the ilk. We're going to be talking about a little bit of Canada. We're going to talk about Tim Kaine. Interesting policy, potential policy, I should say, about guns and trannies. Can I say trannies on YouTube? I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. I'm on Rumble. An AFD update. We have an update about the AFD thing. Epstein redaction is interesting. Building, and they're building space. So I don't know if we'll get to all of this, but we're gonna do what we can. In the meantime, let's get to some RFK Jr. clips from the day, because I think he did my opinion, I think he did an outstanding job. And to start us off, Senator Elizabeth Warren. I don't know what you expect from this, but I liked it.
I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said,
and I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Got her. I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies. And I think this point, the reason I started off with this one, I think this is the biggest picture. It's clear that the check's cleared today because they were out for his throat. Things got heated on several occasions. And annoyingly, in most cases, they were just kind of talking over themselves, shouting over top of each other. And it's a little frustrating to try to watch because no one's going to let him make his point. Because again, what are they fighting for? Well, they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their paychecks. What's RFK Jr. fighting for? He's fighting for what's good and what's right. And again, there's a reason they were all shouting over each other. Here's another clip from the hearing today.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate.
What you said were lies. You
Are you
described
saying,
people
Senator,
moving the
Senator,
Titanic.
are
The
you
chairs on
saying
the
that the
Titanic.
mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis in teenagers? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire,
You're evading the question.
No, I'm asking the questions here,
You're
Mr.
evading
Kennedy.
that question.
I'm asking the questions,
I
Mr.
asked you a
Kennedy.
question.
I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them for the first time in the history of that agency.
That's just domination is what that is. It's absolute domination. RFK fires back. Are you telling me that you don't know there's a connection between mRNA injections and myocarditis, pericarditis? Well, you don't ask me the questions, I ask the questions. Is that because you can't answer the question? I think if anything, one thing became clear here. And I know people have plenty of issues with what RFK Jr. has to say. But it's clear there are levels to this game, and he was way above everybody else. He knows way more of the facts. He knows way more of the science than any of these people questioning him. These people questioning him know one thing, that they get a paycheck signed by Big Pharma. Or is that a conspiracy? Do we still think that's a conspiracy? Do we not think their money plays a role in the government? I said something very simple on X. I said that I'll trust my personal experiences before I trust a doctor trained and paid for by Big Pharma. Oh, you think ivermectin cures cancer? I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. What I said is I will trust my instincts before I trust doctors who are paid for by Big Pharma. We covered stories on here where doctors were specifically receiving money to prescribe drugs. That's not out of the blue. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's actually happening. Hospitals were getting paid extra money if the patients had COVID. That sounds like an incentive. Why do you think when you went to the hospital during COVID, and I know I had this experience personally, no matter what you're there for, they're jamming a Q-tip up your nose? Because they want a little extra money. A little extra dollars. Because, we got a COVID patient. Don't tell me Big Pharma doesn't exist. Don't tell me they don't play a role on the institutions that we so much need to trust. Here's RFK Jr. again. I think I don't know if I could hear a case for somebody who's doing a better job than RFK Jr.
We were lied to about everything. We were lied to about natural immunity. We were lied to about, we were told again and again the vaccines would prevent transmission and prevent infection. It wasn't true. They knew it from the start. It wasn't true because that's what the animals studies and the clinical trials showed. There were behind cloth masks. The CDC allowed the teachers union to write the order closing our schools, which hurt working people all over the country, and then pretend it was science-based. We were
The cloth mask thing was interesting. Even those stupid little paper masks that they were giving out everywhere, even those ones. Ryan has brought this point up before, and anyone who's done any professional work where you have to wear those sealed respirator, like 3M filtered, dual filter respirator units, before you put one of those on, there is a man who comes to wherever you work. Okay. Again, if you professionally have to use these for any reason, for example, working in a body shop, which was our experience, there is a man who comes and he must fit test you for the respirator to ensure that it fits correctly to make sure no particles are getting in or out. Mostly in this specific application. And in order to get it to fit correctly, you must be fit tested. It must be adjusted properly. But if you have facial hair, it must be shaven because even the hairs will break the seal against your face. And that's for particles way larger than COVID. Spread through the air, droplets, airborne droplets. But I'm also told by the science, trust your institutions, right? Trust the science. Trust the doctors, the big pharma paid for doctors. That the stupid cloth mask that hangs off of your ears with big gaps over here, and half the time it's not really even adjusted correctly, and it sometimes doesn't really. That's going to prevent it. No particles are getting out of that. That's a airtight seal. Or the little cloth masks that everyone had. Pull them up over here, and you'd reuse them, right? Because you didn't want to get 79,000 of these things. Well, they were in short supply. The hospitals had them. So people were wearing cloth masks. Well, what does reusing a cloth mask day after day after day do? Sure, you can wash them. Get 20 of them. Keep washing them. We were living in stupid times. I said this before. The COVID thing, to me personally, the COVID thing sounds more like a psychological test than anything else. I think they were testing us. They wanted to know who was complicit and who wasn't. The whole some of this premise is we just want to return to gold standard testing. What is the objection to that? How is it anti-science to want gold standard testing? Can someone please explain that to me? Because I'd love to hear it. I don't think I've heard a good case for it. Here's RFK Jr. talking about truly anti-science. This RFK Jr. Here he is talking about some better testing.
2 hepatitis vaccines, and one of them had a safety study that lasted for 4 days on 143 kids for a product that's going to be given to 76 million kids. Yeah. The risk profile prior to the introduction of the vaccine, the risk of a baby dying from hepatitis B was 1 in 7 million. That means you need to give 7 million hepatitis B vaccines to prevent one death. If you're going to give 7 million, so there are 2 hepatitis vaccines.
So this hepatitis vaccine he's talking about, I'll break it down a little bit in case it's kind of quick. So in case you missed it. This particular hepatitis killed 1 in every 7 million children. They were going to administer the vaccine to 76 million. And in order to prove that it was safe and effective, they tested it for 4 days on 140 children. Does that sound like rigorous scientific testing for a vaccine to prevent something that's going to kill 1 in 7 million people? Does that seem right to everybody? We're going to inject this thing into our body because it kills 1 in 7 million people? But we know it's safe because it was tested for 4 days on 140 people? Would you put that in your body? That's not anti-vax. That's not saying this thing isn't effective. That's saying I want you to prove it to me before I put it in my body. That's not anti-science. That's pro-science. That's the point of science. The point of science. Scientific theory. We've talked about it on this show. You have a theory, and I will try to prove the theory wrong, and I will try to prove it wrong, and I will try to prove it wrong, and I will try to prove it wrong until I can't. That's the scientific theory. Not I'll try for 4 days to see what I come up with. Good enough to me. That's not science. You want to talk about truth? RFK Jr. was talking about truth. Why did they tell us COVID vaccines had long-term studies? How? On a novel virus? How does a novel virus, a vaccine that came out in record time, have long-term studies? Do you trust the science more than you trust logic? Because that's not possible. Show me a long-term study for something that just came out. That's counterintuitive. That's impossible by definition. The virus is novel, but you have a long-term study on the cure? You sure about that? Can you explain how? It's called a lie. It's called a lie. Neil deGrasse Tyson took to Patrick Bet-David's program, and we covered the clips. And he ran around and he told everybody there were long-term studies on this. Well, there weren't. This clip here is a little bit longer, but the full context of it, I think, is important for sure.
For HHS?
He's a contractor, but he's not conducting a study.
He's a contractor?
He's a contractor.
Do you know who works for you, Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah.
Do you know?
By the way, the condescending attitude makes me want to punch this guy right in the face. Did you just threaten violence against the congressman? Jokingly, yeah. Also, the context of if it's any everyday individual in real life, yeah. That's a punchable attitude. Some people have punchable faces. That's a punchable attitude. Oh, really? You don't know who works for you? I know exactly who works for me. He's a fucking contractor. Well, the website says, we're going to get into it. The website says he works for you. I don't give a shit what the website says. He's a fucking contractor. RFK Jr., some of these people, I don't know how they have the patience to deal with this shit. I would have dragged him out of that chair.
Know that Mr. Geyer is listed as a HHS on the employee directory as a senior data analyst, not a contractor.
He's a contractor. He's not an SGE.
So is your website wrong?
He's not an SGE. I don't know what.
I'm going to pull up the website for you.
Yeah, because I built the fucking website. Get lost. I would have dragged that guy out of the chair. I really don't. RFK Jr. has way more patience than me. I'm fairly easygoing, but certain attitudes make me. I just can't. I can't do certain attitudes.
He's a contractor.
If the website says he is a senior data analyst, will you at least admit to the committee?
Well, I don't know if
wrong?
a contractor can be classified as a senior data analyst or not.
Is Mr. Geyer a doctor?
No.
Did you know he never went to medical school?
He's not. He's not practicing medicine.
Did you know that he got caught in Maryland and was charged for practicing medicine without a medical license?
He was charged by a medical board, sued the medical board, and the medical board was found to have acted in actual malice and was fined $2.6 million by a judge in Maryland for doing that.
That sounds like a handy piece of information if you're going to bring that up. Maybe research the whole story, dickhead. If you're going to try to get somebody on a gotcha moment, make sure you know the whole story. And he's going to try to backtrack on this. Here, I'll just keep going.
So you choose to know a lot when you want to know a lot.
So oh shit, I was fucking wrong. Again, the attitude. I dragged this guy out of the chair. Oh, you know a lot now, don't you? Yeah, obviously more than you. You didn't take the extra 30 seconds to research that the board got sued for this. You just found one fancy little legal document. Good for you. I can use Google too. Next.
It's incredible, Mr. Kennedy.
Senator, you're ridiculous.
So here's the question I have. You brought him in to do this study. I think there's no question about it.
I told you he's not doing a study.
Is he participating in the study?
No.
Is he doing any analysis?
Don't even ask me a question if you're not going to let me answer it. That drives me crazy. I hate that. Piers Morgan has come a long way, but it's the one thing about Piers Morgan that I still just his show is unlistenable sometimes because it will ask a question and then it will talk over the person trying to answer. Don't even ask me if you don't. Just do the show yourself. Go do the show yourself. Don't even have me on. If you're going to ask a question, then as soon as I start answering, just start shouting over me. Don't even ask. Don't even ask. Don't invite me there. Don't ask. You don't want the answer.
Regards to this study.
No, what he's doing is getting access to the vaccine safety data link, which is the biggest repository for vaccine information that your friend would not give us for 7 months. For
Mr.
7 months.
Secretary, let me ask you this question, just because you know the answer. What is Mr. Geyer doing?
Literally trying to tell you. You've asked me 3 separate times. I started to answer. You interrupted me all 3 times. Do you want to let me finish now? Or are you going to keep answering me the same stupid question?
He is the only one, because Congress ordered CDC to open up the VST to him in 2002. He's the only outsider who's ever seen it. So because CDC will not give us, they have
Mr. Secretary, is he participating in this then?
No,
But you just said he's the only dude.
How many times do you want me to answer no to that question? He's not participating in it. He has nothing to do with it. He's not doing anything with the study. He's giving me information. That's it. And he's a contractor, and I don't care what the website says. And also do all the research before you provide me some document that said he didn't have a medical license.
That knows what's going on here.
Do you want me to explain it to you, Senator, or do you just want to showboat?
I'll submit.
You just want to showboat for your ads, or do you want to hear a real answer to your question?
Mr. Secretary, you choose to know answers to questions with some colleagues.
By the way, who's chairing this committee? I'm just saying, if I'm in charge of this committee and this, if this guy kept interrupting, I would take his time away. You're done. You're not asking him more questions. You're wasting our time. You're wasting our time. Ask the question, shut up and listen. Then move on to another question. If you're not going to let him talk, get the fuck out. We're done. We're done. You're wasting my time.
I'm willing to give you the answer. I'm willing to give you the answer.
Secretary, someone should have asked you, maybe President Trump should have asked you, are you a trustworthy person?
I love how he effeminately slaps on the desk. Hilarious. Just a little thing, but it made me laugh.
Should have waited for an answer then. Let's move on.
I don't even know what you're talking about. You're talking gibberish.
Mr. Secretary, let me speak slowly and clearly so that you can understand me through my New Mexico accent.
And then give me a chance to answer.
Does this help? Can you understand me?
Yes.
Appreciate that. Mr. Secretary, yes.
Oh, man, the urge to drag that guy out of the fucking chair. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. RFK, by the way, as you can tell, is in good shape because he doesn't listen to some of the medical advice of these big pharma losers. RFK Jr. would dominate this fucking guy.
Yes or no, did you hire Mr. Geyer to do this study?
No.
Mr. Chairman, well, let me ask, maybe we'll just get a good answer here. Mr. Secretary, will you commit to sharing the protocols used for the autism study with Congress and to the public?
They're public.
Will you commit to giving it to this committee by the end of the week?
No.
Dude, this guy does no research before he asks questions. Hey, can you give me all this information? Yeah, it's public. Why don't you go look it up yourself? Next.
Because that's not the way it works. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Mr. Secretary, will you commit to sharing the protocols for the study by the end of the month?
We already have
You just said it's public.
We put out the notice of funding opportunities, and then the scientists from all over the world.
You're not understanding me.
No, you're not understanding how the world works.
Do you understand what the protocols are? Do you understand what they are?
The scientists who are doing the studies submit the protocol.
Okay, so you know what they are.
Coming from us.
So will you commit to sharing those protocols with this committee?
Well, anybody can get a hold of the protocol. It's published with the study.
Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to ask is for your commitment here. I'll send a letter to the Secretary. I'll ask for support from the leadership of this committee to ask for those protocols. If those protocols are not given to this
Anybody
committee,
can get the protocols.
Mr. Secretary, I'm not talking to you. Mr. Chairman, what I'm asking,
If the protocols are public, we can work with you.
what I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, is that if those protocols are not given to this committee, I'm asking for your agreement that we follow through with a subpoena to get them.
No, I will not agree to subpoena anything. Let's see what
But
happens.
Mr. Chairman, you'll help me get them if they're available publicly?
Yes.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman.
Can't help
Mr.
yourself.
Kennedy, with
I'm not your
all the
secretary,
questions
guy.
here today, people just want to know the truth.
Oh my God.
When
I don't think so.
Mr. Secretary, you don't think so? Thank you.
I don't think so.
I hope everyone recording that got that, because there explains the secretary's tenure here. Look, 2 young ladies in Las Cruces, New Mexico, at a town hall recently gave me this starfish pin. I was going to give it to you today, but after your questioning today, I don't think you deserve it, because what this represents is to remember that every one of us can make a difference, sir, to something as small as a starfish on a beach that maybe got washed up, you throw it back in the ocean. You might not save them all, but you can save one. I'm sorry that you're not worthy of this nice little pin, sir, as a nice reminder. I'm going to pray for you, Secretary Kennedy.
I have no fucking idea what this guy is talking about. This is so embarrassing. That's a nice starfish pin you have. I'm going to shove it up your ass. I can't. That guy is. Literally the worst. Literally the worst. RFK Jr. has the patience of a saint. There's no way I would have sat through that. I am not cut for government. I just come from a very real world background. Men will not speak to me that way. Just so if you can't beat me in a fight, you don't get to talk to me like that. I live in a very certain hierarchy system. This is the real world. Men do not tolerate this. Would you let some guy you could beat up talk to you like that? No chance. No chance. Get lost. Patience of the saint. That's what RFK Jr. has. Again, feel free, put in the comments. Who's your bright spot of the Trump administration so far? My vote is for RFK Jr. There's a couple decent ones. Again, I think Tulsi Gabbard has done a pretty good job. And again, the disappointments. If you want to put your disappointment in there, good Lord, Dan Bongino has got to be the biggest disappointment so far. But yeah, you get highs and lows with everything. But certainly so far, big fan of RFK Jr. I think he's doing an outstanding job. All these people who quit and then this big letter that came out, 1,000 former and current CDC employees. I don't care. Get lost. All of you get lost. You're all fired. I don't care. I didn't vote for any of the people in the CDC. Get lost. Tank the whole thing. I don't care. Shut the whole thing down. Rip it down to the studs. We talked about this yesterday. Talked about it before. I'm on team rip it down to the studs. I don't care. If you're a bureaucratic department of the government that no one voted for, get out. Done. And you got to tear it down to the studs fast, because next thing you'll know, you'll be like Canada. And speaking of Canada, and by the way, I don't know how Canada's allowed to exist. I really don't. How we have not just taken Canada and just let this thing sort out, I'm not completely sure. Here is the Canadian, I don't know, Mounties. It's crazy. It's a crazy place. Here's a Canadian telling you what to do if people break into your house. And no, this is Canada, so the answer isn't what it is here, which is, I don't know, shoot them in the face. That usually fixes it. Here's Canada telling you what to do if men break into your house.
In the unlikely event that you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. While we don't want homeowners to feel powerless, we urge you to call 911 and do everything you can to keep yourself and loved ones safe until police arrive, and be the best witness possible. This could mean locking yourself in a room away from the perpetrators, hiding, fleeing the home, but don't engage unless absolutely necessary. But as it stands, we know the best defense for most people is to comply, as you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations.
What a joke. What a joke. The answer in Canada, if you are invaded inside of your own home, the answer in Canada is to just comply with the invaders. Whatever they want you to do. If you're in Canada and men break into your house and they say, "Give me your wife," we're gonna have a little fun. Just comply, Canadian guy, because you don't have rights. You don't have guns. Call the police, comply with the invaders. Have fun. Good luck with that. I'll stay here, actually. I'll stay in this country where you come into the house and you get shot in the face and other places. And then when the police come here, they're high-fiving. Nope, made that easy for us. We'll get the ambulance coming. I like that method more. I feel safer in that country where I don't have to comply with the invaders of the home, where I don't have to wait for the police to get to my house, where they, and even better than that, just the threat that could happen to you here really makes somebody think twice before they break into a house. Because, oh shit, maybe they have guns. I don't know if I'd want to take that on if I was a home invader. I'd much rather be in Canada because they were just told to comply with me. I could do whatever I want. I broke into your house. This is my house now. You do what I say because I got the gun, because I'm breaking the laws, and you're the rule follower. How's that working out for you? Go ahead, call the Mounties. They'll be here on horseback in no time. What a joke. Get out of Canada. If you're even a remotely sane person and still in Canada, what are you doing? There is no way that's the answer. That's not the one I'm going with. Just comply with the home invader. Okay. I'll get right on that. No chance. No chance. Speaking of no rights in Canada, let's get here to Senator Tim Kaine, who, if I remember correctly, ran for president. And I'd be shocked to learn how a man who is currently a senator, who ran for president, who spent most of his life in government, doesn't know that rights come from God and protected and are stated and protected by the Constitution, specifically to not infringe upon your rights given to you by God. But apparently that can happen. So here's the clip from Senator Tim Kaine. Jesus Christ.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their creator. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
It's extremely troubling. I'll let everyone watching be the judge of what's extremely troubling. Because for me personally, what I just heard from a guy who's spent a lot of his time in government, who ran for president, who's currently a senator, my opinion, what's extremely troubling is that you don't know where our rights come from. And by the way, I've said this before. We say this kind of a theme on the show. We say it all the time. I don't believe in government incompetence, to be honest with you. Not that I think government is competent. What I'm saying is, I don't think he said that and didn't know the truth. What I'm telling you is, he's lying to you. He's lying to you because if he admits that rights come from God and that the government is specifically prohibited from infringing on those rights, that changes the conversation. Because then they can't create rights out of thin air and take away your other rights. Because they weren't given to you by them. They're inherent. They're natural from the Creator through pure birth. That right exists to you from God, not from a piece of paper. The piece of paper recognizes the right and states specifically that the government will not infringe upon those rights from your God, Creator. Creator, God, creator, same. You were created by God. He is your creator. Is that clear enough? If you have the context of the history of this country, you understand that. And he knows that. He knows that. He has to lie because their whole worldview is built on that lie. The whole worldview is built on that lie that they give you rights. They decide what the rights are, not God. And we can keep going. Let's keep speaking of rights. The Trump administration. This is a tough one. The Trump administration is toying with the idea of banning trans people from buying guns. Now, I'm not bull-sizing this thing. I'm going to be very clear. That's an infringement on rights. I'm just going to be very clear. That is a complete infringement on the Second Amendment, specifically for transgender people. And absolutely that will not hold up in any form of court. It's certainly not the Supreme Court. Just so we're clear. With that said, in a world, let me just play, I wouldn't call it devil's advocate, but let me just change the context. In a world where we live in a country that doesn't care about your rights, that's the right move. Because those people, as I've said on this program, all are mentally unstable. All of them have mental illness. Transgenderism is a mental illness. And it's not a great idea to have mentally ill people running around with guns. I'll say that very clearly. But that doesn't make it right. That doesn't mean you get to take away their rights because it's a good idea. Because some people might decide it's a good idea to take away my right for speech. And that doesn't mean it's a good idea either. That doesn't mean it's moral. That doesn't mean it's allowed. I don't want to spend a long period of time on this, but I just wanted to be very clear on that. You can't do that. You can't take away people's rights because they're transgender. Doesn't mean it wouldn't be a great idea. Doesn't mean it wouldn't work. Just so we're clear. It would work for sure, but you can't do it. It's one of those Trump things. Sometimes he just comes up with ideas. He's an idea guy, and somebody has to usually walk him back down to earth and say, Mr. President, you absolutely can't do that. We ran into that in his first term with the bump stock ban. You just can't do it. Like, you just can't. You can't. You could try. You can say you're going to do it, and you can start implementing it. But I'm telling you, at some point, somebody is going to not allow this, and that's exactly what happened with the bump stock ban. Let's get into James O'Keefe. I think this is interesting because this is back onto the Epstein files. But James O'Keefe put out a video, as he does, this O'Keefe Media Group undercover video, and I'm just gonna play it, and we're just gonna go right along with it here.
But those files do exist.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal, Democratic people in those files.
I think they visited that Maxwell person.
Yeah.
And also involved.
Got transferred to a minimum security prison too recently, which is against BOP policy because she's a convicted sex offender. They're offering her something to keep her on shut.
That was the acting deputy chief of the Office of Enforcement Operations, Joseph Schnitt, telling a stranger about the FBI and DOJ's handling of the Epstein files. Schnitt, who works at a high level inside the Department of Justice, goes on to comment on the inconsistent statements, special treatment of Ghislaine Maxwell, and the blatant backtracking on promises of transparency.
And what do you do for work here?
I work for the Department of Justice.
Okay.
Been there like 23 years. I'm an analyst.
I wonder if that 23 years is coming to an end. I always find it fascinating that these people get caught up. All James O'Keefe has to do, any of these people who do this, and this is hilarious to me, is get like a moderately attractive girl to go on a date with these losers, and they will just start talking. It is the most hilarious thing to me.
I'll be acting deputy chief of our office for a few months starting next week. I work closely with all the federal law enforcement agencies, and the U.S. attorney's offices, the prosecutors and stuff. The thing is, it's interesting because I do deal with so many of the agencies, like the Bureau of Prisons, the Marshal Service, the FBI, U.S. attorney's offices.
Recently, the FBI and DOJ have come under fire for promising transparency, then refusing to release footage and unredacted documents, going directly against the public's expectations and the promises made by Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. In a DOJ press release, Attorney General Pam Bondi stated, quote, "This Department of Justice is following through on President Trump's commitment to transparency and lifting the veil on the disgusting actions of Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators," unquote, and also claimed they were shedding light on Epstein's extensive network, only to later claim that Epstein was acting alone, and that the only video evidence they had was of Epstein's personal child porn collection.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were.
In the same press release, Kash Patel claimed, quote, "There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no stone left unturned."
So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever.
Only
Don't push too hard, though. Don't push too hard. You wouldn't want to be an enemy of the Trump administration. What a joke. You want to talk about disappointment. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, all of them would be out. All of them be gone. Joke.
To later claim on Joe Rogan's podcast that releasing any videos would re-victimize those impacted.
We're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening because then he wins. Not doing it. You want to hate me for it? Fine.
But, internally.
Wouldn't want him to win, Wouldn't want him to win. Better cover everything up so he doesn't win. Joke.
There's a lot of, even within the administration, there's internal conflict.
Okay.
Like the head of FBI really wants it. Second in command at FBI has been causing problems because he's like, no, these have to be released.
Yeah. So the FBI wants them out.
Yep, the top two guys that do that.
And Bonnie does it.
I don't know what Bonnie does. Bonnie wants whatever John.
Sure.
Why is there suddenly this internal conflict within the same administration that
It's an interesting, but it sounds like to me, regardless of what Bongino and Kash Patel want, because that's the inference there. Regardless of what they want, they are also yes people, because if they want it and they are actively not getting it, why is that? You're the head of the FBI. Who are you answering to? The president? Pam Bondi? Guess what? You're just another yes person too. Doesn't matter what you want if you're not getting it.
aggressively campaigned in 2024 to fully release the Epstein files to the American public. What new revelations did the DOJ and FBI make to now say that an incriminating client list does not exist? DOJ analyst Joseph Schnitt comments on these inconsistencies and informs our undercover journalist that even if anything was to be released, it would be heavily redacted in favor of the Republican Party, indicating that this DOJ official, Joseph Schnitt, probably leans Democrat.
Do you think the stuff with Epstein will actually get released or not at all?
If it does, it'll be heavily redacted and his name won't be in it.
But those files do exist.
There's files.
Yeah.
For sure. There's thousands and thousands of pages of files. But again, if they're released in any way, it's going to be very redacted. They'll redact every Republican or...
For the record, this whole video sounds like it's this guy's opinion, probably based on his political bias about what is going to happen. It doesn't sound like he's stating a policy that is going to occur. Just to put the context into it, because that's what it sounds like to me. I don't know if you get the same vibe, but that's what I get out of this.
conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people in those files, and have a very slanted version of it come out where it's like, look at what he's doing without releasing any of their bad behavior.
This is James O'Keefe. You know me for exposing the truth and holding the powerful accountable. But today, I want to talk to you about protecting your own freedom, starting with your finances. Right?
Okay, I'm not playing this game. Listen, good stuff. I get it. You got to do your ad thing, but not here. You don't. Yeah. To me, that sounds like it's his opinion that they will be redacted if they're released. But again, this is more acknowledgement that the files do in fact exist, as we all know and thought they existed for however long we thought. It's not new to us. And if they didn't exist, and by the way, we're saying this as Trump was in office, then lost a re-election, then re-campaigned on a new election that he was going to release the files. So he knew the files exist. He was president. He knew they existed. Okay. Then we were told by his attorney general that the files don't exist. So the guy who was president, who ran on releasing the files, was told by the attorney general that the files don't exist. He was already he knows the files. He was there already. He knows the files exist. Those files are there. He said we're releasing them, and then they all of a sudden don't exist. I just want to be clear about about what we're talking about here. I want to bring up an update to a story we did, because what we talked about the fact that 6 of the AfD party in Germany's candidates during election season were mysteriously died suddenly. And of course, the police investigated and found there was no foul play in all 6 of these AfD party members dying. And remember, the AfD is the second largest political party in Germany. It is been deemed by their intelligence agencies that the AfD party is an extremist group, of course. And then mysteriously 6 of their members died during election season. And it was 6 until it was 7, because the story came out that, in fact, German authorities dismissed speculations that a 7th candidate died. The speculations they're dismissing is that there's foul play. The polls are open September 14th in Germany, and now 7 AfD candidates have died. And what the most hilarious part of this whole thing is that people are saying, well, this is conspiratorial, right? There's something going on here. 7 members of the same party don't just die suddenly, and it's not foul play. And their response is that, in fact, 16 candidates have died from different political parties, so it's not weird that 7 of them died from the AfD party. No, it's extra weird that 16 died from all the parties. Why are candidates dying so abruptly in Germany right now? 16 candidates running in the same election have died? And none of it's foul play? How stupid do you think everybody is? Because there is no way 16 candidates all suddenly died and none of it was foul play. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. There's no way I'm believing that. That's election interference at the highest levels, because it involves life. If you want to talk about elites and deep states and all this crazy stuff, right, that we talk about all the time on the show. What does power mean to them? How important is keeping their power? And this tells you. If Germany has 16 dead officials during election season, 16 candidates during election season, In Germany? What does that tell you what people will do for power? We watched them try to take out President Trump on TV. He was shot in the ear. And Joy Reid, again, I talked about this yesterday, but she was astonished to find out that you can, in fact, recover from wounds. But yes, he was shot in the ear. That was an assassination attempt. It was nothing else. Nothing else. They know that their power is crumbling. They know their time is numbered. They know their power is limited now. They're being watched. The tides are finally turning. The culture is shifting around the world, globally. This is a big deal. Real big deal. Because these people know their time is coming to an end. It always has been us versus them. I'll gladly debate political differences in the left versus right, and depending on the context, that does matter, of course. But the biggest context, the thing that matters more than anything, is us versus them. You cannot allow elites to have this unfettered power forever, to live in this deep, dark, world where they get to control everything and you get to pretend you're voting. We're not doing it anymore. We're onto it. They know we're onto it. That's why they're killing our candidates. I said this yesterday, but I've said it in the past. I can typically count on one hand, maybe on two, in a good election, in a good year, how many people in our Congress, in our government in general, that I truly think are doing good. One hand, two hand tops. I think I'm in a two-hand territory this year. I think I could go two hands if I really sat down and thought about it. I gotta tell you, they better have good security. The people on my two hands better have good security. Because this is the kind of thing that they're doing. They're taking people out. These are acts of desperation. Don't get it twisted. These are acts of desperation. They're on their heels. We have them on their heels. We need to keep driving. We need to keep going. This is not time to slow down. This is time to speed up. This is time to really get a final push. Because they have limited time. They have limited time now. We're all on to them. Even the average person is starting to catch on. Some of the stuff we say and think today, we wouldn't have gotten away with even 5 years ago. This is an important time in our country's history and our world's history. These things matter. I want to get to something real quick at the end here, just because I think it's. I think people and scientists need to be stopped. just so we're clear, because I read an article here. This is so crazy to me. I'm going to put the article up on the screen. New York's Big Bang machine passes its critical first test. If I'm reading this correctly, are we trying to build a universe? What in the hell are we up to? The Big Bang machine? Are we really doing this? Are we sure? This is science fiction shit here. Are we sure we're going to do this? Are we sure it's a good idea? We know very little about the first few microseconds after the Big Bang. We have theories, most of which we're still double and triple checking to see if they actually make scientific sense. The scientific method. Interesting. Better study it for 4 days and move on. The research process can seem tedious at times, but a newcomer from Long Island offers promising advances in our quest to understand how our universe came to be. So this is supposed to be testing equipment? In a recent paper for the Journal of High Energy Physics, researchers with the S Phoenix, I don't know if it's supposed to be Phoenix, I don't know, collaboration announced that it had passed a standard candle test with flying colors, correctly catching and measuring the energy level of colliding gold ions traveling close to the speed of light. The S Phoenix detector is a 1,000-ton, 2-story tall instrument equipped with a powerful camera that catches and measures 15,000 particle collisions per second. It's a much-awaited upgrade to the Phoenix. Oh, okay. Now retired detector at the Brookhaven National Laboratory relative heavy ion collector. This indicates the detector works as it should. Gunther Roland, if you're going to be a physicist, your name can't be Gunther. I'm sorry. At MIT, and the S Phoenix collaboration told MIT News, it's as if you sent a new telescope and put into space. You spent 10 years building it, and it snaps at its first picture. It's not necessarily a picture of something completely new, but it proves that it's now ready to start doing new science. So everyone, this thing kind of looks like. Did anyone see? I think is it the first Into the Spider-Verse where they have that like particle collider thing that like explodes and causes like the dimensions to tear in half. I'm very loosely describing that, but that's what this thing reminds me of. The Big Bang machine passing the test bodes well for the detector's future. However, the team wants to put it through a few more quality checks. The S Phoenix detector is like a giant 3D camera tracking the number of energy and paths of particles generated by a single collision. Yeah, this shit's wild. This shit is absolutely crazy. Look at this machine one more time. Hold on. Where is it? That's freaking crazy. What in the hell are we doing? Where does all this Can I ask this very simple question? Where the hell does all this money come from? How do we have money to do this and fund wars all over the world? Like, how does money? You want to wonder why we're $40 trillion in debt? And yes, that's an exaggeration, but it's not that far off. We can't help ourselves. We have to have our hands in all types of shit at all times. I'm not saying like this isn't important to some degree, but important is an opinion in some regards. And this shit to me doesn't sound as important as other shit. And we've talked about this on the show. I certainly don't want to be funding global wars all over the world. But I also don't really see the need to. I don't think, if somebody wants to donate their own personal money to this, I guess go for it. But man, we as a spend a lot of money on a lot of crazy stuff. I'm just saying. This money is like, it runs out eventually. We did the math on the show. It was the premise for my super military. I made a joke that eventually money runs out. Like, and it's not much more money, to be honest with you. I think globally it's like $75 trillion. It's like not a lot. Maybe it was 100 trillion or something, but it wasn't much. Like, give me all the money. I'm making a super military, and guess what? You can't beat me now, and I rule the world. Like, that was the joke. Because eventually there is no more money. Hopefully we can get Ryan back on tomorrow. 2 days in a row without Ryan. I'm doing my best here, but he always provides way different insights, a little bit different feel to the show for sure without him here. So hopefully welcome him back tomorrow. We had weird technical stuff, couldn't log on. It said he was logged on, but I don't know. Maybe the particle collider split and he was in a different multiverse. I have no idea. I don't know where he was, but he was somewhere. He sent me a screenshot. He was somewhere, but it wasn't here. Maybe he was on another show. Maybe he's on Timcast or something. I don't know. But as always, I appreciate everyone, doing the show with me here today. And put in the comments again. I really, really want to know what does everyone think? What is this is my biggest question for today. What is the biggest bright spot of the Trump administration for you right now? Person wise, like personnel wise, who's your biggest bright spot? For me, it's RFK Jr. I thought he handled himself very well today. All the people who are calling for him to just step down and resign. Hope that big pharma check is worth it. But hopefully we get Ryan back on tomorrow, and appreciate everyone stopping out as always. I'm not going to try to do a Ryan impression, but I do appreciate all being here. So do the like, do the share, do the comments, do all the stuff. Thanks, everyone.